What up, everyone? TNRI here. Today's guest is Yoann from Enuu, shared electric light vehicles based in Switzerland, but Yoann will explain it better.
We are a micro-mobility company, and we offer a light electric vehicle insuring service through a smartphone app. So basically, you can rent a vehicle per minute through an app, and it's pretty much like all what the others are doing, like the scooters company or the bike sharing companies are doing. It's pretty much the same system. The difference is that we use these light electric vehicles, and they are very, very specific because you don't see them often in Europe. We are the only one in Switzerland. We are the only one in Europe. I mean, there's another company in Netherlands called LEV, which are offering the same kind of vehicles. But basically, the vehicle is the perfect combination between e-bikes and conventional cars, because you take advantages from those two products in one product, which is this light electric vehicle. That's what we are doing at the moment, and we are present in 3 markets in Switzerland, so 3 cities: Zurich, Basel, and Biel, a smaller town. And soon we will expand to other countries, especially Germany, and also continue to expansion in Switzerland.
Yeah, it's really great to fill in that gap. And you had another kind of business model at the start, didn't you? With like more advertising.
Yeah, one part of our business is to make advertising on the space on the vehicle. We are doing that in some cities, and it helps us to get, to achieve a better revenue, and also to offer a competitive price to final users. We are in an expansion mode, but with the COVID, it's pretty difficult at the moment. And also we are in a financing round, so you need to have those 2 things done. So COVID and the financing round down, and then I think we will be really ready to proper expand the service.
Because you studied a lot of engineering, so does it mean like back in the childhood, did you work a lot with the cars, or like you had passion for entrepreneurship back in the day?
I didn't have passion for entrepreneurship. I didn't know what it was. I mean, my parents are not entrepreneur at all, so I was not in an environment of entrepreneurs. But I had a passion for mechanic, and then I went further in the studies. I studied engineering, automotive engineering, and then I went to Germany. I also did 2 internships. One is Mercedes-Benz, and I was like, okay, that's really cool. But then I realized that maybe I didn't want to be an engineer, because you're only, a small part of the business, and you only do really tiny things in the business, and you don't really see the effects of what you're doing. And at that time, I think my associate was also in an internship in Germany, and he talked about this Formula Student things event competition, and we thought, okay, we still have 1 year studying engineering when we're back to Switzerland, so we should make this racing team. And we decided to make this racing team while we were doing our internship in Germany, and then we asked other people to join us, and then we started to raise capital. Get money for this non-profit organization, and then I discovered the entrepreneur world at that time, really, and I understood at that time that what I wanted to be is to be an entrepreneur and to make my own company, and I think then I went to the UK. That's another chapter in my life, but I did the master in engineering management, and then it reinforced me. My mindset, and I think the British mindset is completely different to the Swiss mindset or German mindset. And at that stage, I was like, okay, when I'm back to Switzerland, I just told my associate, yeah, we should do something for profit, and he said the same, and then we started Enuu, basically.
And why did you start with the electric vehicles?
I do have 2-strokes motorbike. I like also old cars, collectors, but it's all the past. And when I was working at Mercedes-Benz, I was working in the diesel engine. So really it was before the diesel crisis. It was in 2014. And I think with my associate, we realized that it wouldn't be the future. And we also saw at that time that there was some bike sharing company coming into the street, and we thought, okay, we were engineer. We thought, okay, bike is cool, but it's cool when it's sunny and when you don't have to go to work and you don't want to sweat. But maybe like in countries like Germany, Switzerland, or even Netherlands, where it's raining and when it's cold in winter, it's better to have something like where you are protected, where you could put your luggage. And we thought about this small vehicle. At the beginning, we wanted to produce a vehicle on our own and build the vehicle really. And then there was all this sharing system through apps, and we were like, okay, that's something new for us, because we were more like mechanical engineer and not really in the tech, not really in IT. And then we thought, okay, but we need to combine. We need to make this app, and that the people can rent the vehicle and providing a sharing service it's clever. It's better. I mean, it's way better than just selling cars and then after 2 years you need to change your car. So we thought, okay, let's take the best of everything. Make an app, offer them in sharing, small vehicle, and let's try to convince people that it's just better than bikes in winter, for example. And that's what it's happening in Switzerland. So.
And how did the first days go? Because you got the seed funding of like 150,000, but I think it was a bit later than that.
The first year and a half, I think we had to work both part-time, and we use all our like wealth to start the business, where it was not a lot of money. I think, and after a couple of months, I don't know, we were lucky enough to get attention from this energy company, energy provider in the region where we were based in Switzerland. So it was a grant of, I think, 100K. So a lot of money, and thanks to that, we were able to order vehicles and to launch the service in the city called Biel. And after a few months running in Biel, so it was in November 2018 when we started in Biel, we were lucky enough to convince enough, let's say, venture capitalists and investors to make this first, we call it pre-series A round or seed round. And that we raised 1.4 million. But it's important at the beginning to get as much as you can, so that you can really provide the best service you can.
How did you even find it? Did you start like texting people on LinkedIn or?
Honestly, I can tell you we wrote to 300 VCs, 300. In general, we had between 5 and 10%, let's say, conversion rate, response rate. So it means that the VC were interested and they were starting to chat with us and making calls. So yeah, we had maybe 30 good calls, honestly, 30 good follow-ups after the calls. But it never went anywhere. And we started also to go to a startups event in Europe. And especially there are like a few very good startups event. One was in Amsterdam, by the way. And I met a lot of VC in Amsterdam thanks to this event. But it was not the successful one. The successful one was really Noah. It's called Noah, Noah. They have two events, normally one in Berlin and one in London. And we went the one in London, in Berlin. And I think it was in 2018, summer 2018, there was this edition in Berlin. And I got the chance to pitch on the stage. And I think the video is on YouTube. So it's one of the video which is on YouTube where you can see me pitching on the stage. And actually, thanks to this pitch, there were like a few VCs. And at first I was really disappointed because nobody went see me after the pitch, and there was just a few guys like interested about internships, but no one came and talked to me. Oh, that's a nice company. We are interested. But then after a few weeks, got some mails from VC. We looked at your business and we saw you on the stage, and that's very interesting. And I was like, why did you tell me like when I was in Berlin? We could have talked. And they said no, but we wanted to check the business first. So we never do that. We never go and talk straightforward. And one of the VC was Vast Ventures, so the lead investor of the pre-series A. And they said, okay, They had a smaller fund, so they said no, we cannot go for this capital, but we still want to lead around. We wanted to raise 4 or 5 million, I think, at the very beginning. I think we were pretty idealistic about the way the amount we wanted to raise, and they said no, it's too much for us. And I said okay, let's start in build. Let's launch the service in build first, and then we will show you the KPIs. And yeah, after a few months in build, they were always hesitating, and at some point we said okay, they came once in build, they test the service, they test the vehicles, but they were really skeptical about a few things. It's always the case when you're an early stage startup. And then we had to go to Madrid, to the headquarters, to convince them to invest. And so when we went to Madrid, we spent 4 hours in the office of the managing director, which is with Martin Bazowski, is a serial entrepreneur, the MD of this fund. And after that, he said, okay, I will invest 1 million, which was 1 million, I think, at this stage. And we closed the deal like that. So it was really, it was not straightforward. There was a lot of hesitation. And then at the end, we had to convince, and we had to go and convince them to invest. And for the other investors, was also pretty much the same. They knew us from before, and they followed us for a long time. And once there was a lead investors, they said, okay, let's jump into the venture. But they never jumped before the lead investor sent the term sheet. So it was more like, when someone is leading the round, then they will follow. It's always like that. And then it was quite quickly, we got a few angels. Even we got, I can tell you, we got 50,000 from an angel just by spending 1 hour call, because he heard that his friend or kind of business friends invested, and there was this lead investor. So he said, okay, and we had to make only 1 hour call, and we got 50K. And for so many months, we struggled to raise capital. And on the other hand, when you have like a lead investor, like suddenly everyone is interested to invest. So we learned a lot about this investment process.
How much did the whole process take you?
I pitched like in June 2018, and we got the money on the bank account in September 2019. So it took more than 1 year, and it was especially long because when we got the term sheet in May 2019, and we got the money only end of September 2019, and there was the due diligence process was quite short. It was not that difficult because we were well prepared, but then the terms and the shareholder agreements, it took like ages. It was just crazy because the term sheet was not really precise, and so there were a number of terms that was not discussed in the term sheet. And then once we arrived to the shareholders agreement, then everyone was complaining about the terms, and some investor they don't give a shit about the terms. You have the full control of your company. What they want is you to succeed, and they take some equity. But other VCs are like looking to every terms, like control of the company and stuff like that. Then it starts to be very, very difficult. Then it's a lot of bargaining and negotiations. So you waste a lot of time.
Since that was also time consuming in a way, what was happening with the operations? Did your co-founder take
Yeah, I was responsible for the fundraising, and he was taking of the operations.
Taking the head role, how did the whole process of getting the company culture and expanding the team, how did that process go, the people?
Well, the people are the most important thing in your company. So the product is not, in the end, it's important because you're offering a product, but once you have your product, you have a kind of product to market fit, and then you demonstrated it, you need to have a really good team to execute the tasks. And at the beginning, we were doing everything on our own. So my associate and myself, so the operation, the hotline, repairing the vehicles, changing the batteries. We did everything for 6 months. And it was really difficult because you cannot really focus on other important stuff. You cannot focus on the strategy stuff. and you're just doing like daily operations, and it's not where you're supposed to be. So you can do that for a few months so that you really understand your service, your company, your product. But then you need to find people to work and doing that well. Like you as an entrepreneur, you're probably good, but you're not a professional of hotline or stuff like that, of after sales. And so it was difficult because at the beginning you don't have money, so you have to do everything on your own. But as soon as you raise capital and you prove that you can expand your service, you can grow, and you raise capital, most of the time the investor, they want you to use the capital to buy new vehicles, for example, in our case, but not to expand your team. And that's, I think it's a wrong mindset. We always told them that it's just not, you don't buy 200 vehicles and you just put vehicles on the street. You need people to operate these vehicles. And so what is important once you raise capital is to hire really key employees so that they will really manage daily business, so daily operations, all the engineering, all the marketing. And so afterwards, you can really focus on the strategy aspects, fundraising aspects, partners relationships, and the other people. Your employees, or let's say the key people, they need to have ownership of their department. So they really need to, you need to give them a budget, objectives, and then there's benchmarks so that they can compare themselves with benchmarks. And then you need to let them do the things. And you just check these KPIs, so the key performance indicators, if they're struggling. But you cannot be behind them every time. And I mean, micromanagement, I think it's the words to call this. It doesn't really work in a high growth startups. You don't have time to do everything. You cannot check everyone's job. So you just tell them, okay, that's your department. Now you make the operations, you have some KPIs and just do it. And that's what we saw in other companies like Uber. They were doing the same. So, and it worked pretty well. And now we have more time for more, let's say, strategy things or expansion.
Do you then model yourself after some firing person then?
Yeah, I think I'm more like a Travis Kalanick Uber person. So I like to spend time, thinking about the business and thinking about the strategy, and then finding the right person to do the job. And I don't want to do the job for everyone. That's Some people are like trying to take control from everything and saying orders to everyone. I'm not like that, and I think my co-founder is as well not like that. He's more responsible for the human resource marketing stuff, and I'm more responsible for the finance and strategy, and also a little bit about the engineering stuff. But all in all, we don't have a CEO or COO culture, so we have the same level both, and that's why we call ourselves managing partners. And so I can have some marketing project, or you can have also some finance project, but usually it's natural the way we function it. So I'm more into finance and he's more into marketing. But
what are your 3 best books you would recommend?
I don't remember exactly the title, but there's 0 to 1 from Peter Thiel.
Yeah.
This one I remember. It's pretty good. Blitzscaling, it's very good. Although I think you don't need to read the full book, Blitzscaling. And then there's one very good. It's Lean Startup is very good. If there was only one book I will recommend for a beginner or for someone who just have a few months or he wants to become an entrepreneur, Lean Startup is really good. And actually, I'm following a little bit the Lean Startup strategy or method. It's very good because testing and trying and testing and trying and trying and all the cycle, let's say they call it a testing cycle. Pretty much, it was a really interesting book, and it helped us. It can help you a lot because basically especially the first year, I didn't read any book about startups, and I think we waste a lot of time. And it's when we had no capital and we waste a lot of time. And I think if we will have asked us the right questions and maybe follow follow this process, this testing process, we would have been much more efficient. But it's difficult, I mean, to say that. But afterwards, I realized that there was like some really good comments. And
do you also, of course, spend time on other things?
For like a few years, I learned everything about corporate finance, markets, the financial markets, stuff like that. And I think finance can help you a lot for, when you start a company. And I think it's a key point to understand finance and corporate finance, because otherwise you will be lost at some point. Because it's very, very complex. And for example, we see in our business, we have a lot of transactions, a lot of stakeholders, debts, capital, and stuff like that. You need to master corporate finance. And I like also reading about management stuff. So yeah, leadership, management, it's very important. For the rest, yeah, I like traveling when I can. Now with COVID, it's a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
And I have a passion for motorbikes as well. Let's say I'm also a rider, so motorbike rider, and I like sports. And I do like skiing.
Then last but not least, as a recommendation to the people who would like to do the same path that like you did, become an entrepreneur, what kind of advice you can give, and perhaps maybe a nice quote as well?
I would say you need to know that you have to be resilient, because you always want the things to go faster, and you don't have time, and time is money, so you want to be even faster and faster. But after all these years now, I can tell you that resilience is really important. Also, you don't need to overestimate risks. When you start, you're always worried about risk. You said, "Oh, if I start this business, maybe I will go bankrupt, and then I will not find a job. People will destroy our vehicles." So there is a tendency of overestimate risks. And so you don't do the things because you're worried about the risk. And in the end, the risks are not that high. When you see a risk, you should take into consideration this risk, but not overestimate it, and just launch the things and do the things and not think too much.
Thank you for watching. That was really great interview. More to come, but don't forget to check out the other ones on the channel, and like and subscribe. And as usual, TNRI out.